What's up guys, Travis Bogart here at Above the Rest Training Systems in Cheyenne, Wyoming, bringing you another exercise library video, another feature in our Strongman series, the Intro to Strongman series on kegs. We're gonna carry some kegs today. Before we dive in guys, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell so that you don't miss anything coming out of Above the Rest Training Systems. Another quick note before we get started, if you haven't already, be sure to go check out our keg loading video. There are some fundamental techniques and principles that we cover in that video that we're gonna assume you know as we roll into the keg carries. In the sport of strongman, there are a lot of different events where the technique actually changes depending on how heavy the implement is relative to our strength levels. The keg carry is one of these events. With lighter kegs, we're gonna be able to use techniques that are a little bit riskier, but that give us a lot more speed. While with heavier kegs, we're gonna have to dial back that speed and use techniques that offer us a more secure and guaranteed result. In this video, we're gonna cover 4 techniques that you can use that are gonna help you get through all sorts of kegs, whether they be light, where you're gonna use a fast technique, or heavy, where you're gonna use a slower technique. The first technique that we're gonna cover is the full clean. If the keg is light enough, you're gonna be able to pick it straight up off the ground, chuck it up to your chest, and give yourself plenty of room to run your legs and complete the carry. You'll probably be able to use this technique in an event where there's a keg series, multiple kegs in ascending weights, and you'll be able to use it on the first keg of your series if you're strong enough. If you're not quite strong enough to just execute a full clean, you might need to bring in a little bit of assistance. That brings us to our second technique, the knee assisted clean. Once the keg gets a little bit heavier, you're not gonna be able to pull it off the ground all the way up to your chest and give your legs the amount of room that they're gonna need to run as fast as possible. So what we're gonna do is on the way up, we're gonna give it a quick bump with one of our knees in order to add a little bit of height as we secure the keg, and that's gonna give us the room that we need to sprint with that implement. In order to perform the knee assisted clean, we still have to be able to pick the keg up high enough into the air that we can get our knee underneath it with some velocity to add speed and force to it to get it all the way up to the chest. Once the keg gets too heavy, we're not gonna be able to pull it up that high, so we may have to stop in the lap on the way through. That's gonna bring us to our third technique, the lap to carry. With this technique, we're gonna lap the keg like we would for an extension, a load, or a squat, and then we're going to lift it with a squat, keeping it up on our chest with enough room for our legs to run, even if that keg is heavy. The lap position is gonna add a lot of time to the pick, so we only wanna use it if we have to. However, the benefit is that we're gonna have the keg high, secured on the chest, we're gonna be able to run our feet quickly, and we're gonna reduce the risk of dropping the keg during the run and adding even more time to our event. There are gonna be some events where the keg is just too heavy to load it all the way up under our chest. Whether we're kneeing it or we're lapping it, it's so heavy that as we're trying to hold it to our chest, it just keeps slipping down the body. If it is that heavy, then we're basically gonna be trying to hold the keg down low in as efficient a place as possible to maximize our foot speed for the event. This brings us to the fourth technique, the brace to the hip. The idea with this technique is that we're gonna deadlift the keg off the ground and then pin it to one hip or the other, basically optimizing our space for one leg while reducing it slightly for the other. If you can get the keg all the way to your side, you might actually be able to open up enough room for both feet to move freely. But what I find typically happens is that we end up bracing it on the hip, limiting the range of motion of one leg, but allowing for the other leg a full stride. This ends up leaving the technique looking a lot like a limp, where we have one leg really sweeping through in full stride while the other one is maintaining this keg and trying to keep up. It's not gonna be as fast as a full run or a full sprint, but it will allow us to lift a heavy keg relatively routinely, minimize the risk of drops, and still finish the event with our best time. As you're training for the keg carry, you wanna make sure that you're training all 4 of these different techniques. You're gonna find that keg events tend to have multiple kegs out in front of you with ascending weights, starting light and ending heavy. So you may have to change your technique from keg to keg to keg as the weight goes up. Even if we were gonna assume that all the kegs are staying the same size, as fatigue accumulates from implement to implement to implement, we may find that our own strength is dropping, and so now we have to start using a slower, more secure technique later in the event. At the end of the day, no matter what happens, we don't want to be out there unprepared. When it comes to programming in the keg carry, there's a few different ways to go about it. My favorite by far is round-based protocols, where you start a looping timer and hit a carry every time it goes off. You can also set up keg sprints, where maybe you have 2 to 5 kegs set out over a set distance with different weights weights and you try to see how fast you can run those kegs. If you're looking for more ways to use the keg carry in an actual workout, be sure to check the link in the description. It'll take you to our book a workout on kegs where you'll find a bunch of different workouts that you can implement right now using this exercise. If you enjoyed learning about the keg carry, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell so that you don't miss anything coming out of Above the Rest Training Systems. We'll catch you in the next video.